I play the role of a vice principal, and I love teaching physics because I'm basically a physics teacher, and I'm very passionate about the field of psychology. And that is what brings me to speak to you. The topic that I would like to share on this day with you all will be about empathy. The moment I say empathy, many of you might be recalling all the beautiful quotes, all the beautiful talks that you would have heard, especially if you're very active on social media. I'm sure all of us are very, very thorough with what this empathy is, because most of the morning messages I quite often see is something to do with empathy and related terms, because these days we are all getting a more conscious or more awareness into life skills. So I would like to take you all a little deeper into from a life skill to a relationship skill, because we are all social beings. We definitely need a lot of relationships. It could be family, it could be friends, it could be colleagues. Sometimes it could be somebody who you're really not good in terms with as well. But we need relationships. We cannot say, I'm a bachelor, I'm enjoying my life. I'm a spinster, I enjoy my life. No. At some point of time, we definitely have to mingle and live with people. The basic reason being, we are social beings. So today I'm going to enlighten and deepen the knowledge that all of us already know about empathy, because empathy is the relationship that we need to inculcate, because it is the heart of any relationship. I'm sure you would agree with me. But before we journey for the next 50 or 55 minutes more into empathy, there's one term which we always get confused when we are talking about empathy, a term which sounds very similar: sympathy. This confusion, even I've been undergoing for so many years as to what is empathy, what is sympathy. Both sound very similar. The spellings are also almost, similar. But then this small frame kind of explains. When I say I'm expressing sympathy, say, for example, somebody is unwell, or somebody is lost their loved one, you go visit them, and you verbally communicate to them telling that, I'm sorry that you are in pain. It's more of a verbal expression that we express. That would be sympathy. But sometimes we are also stuck. Our hearts get a little heavy because somebody has lost their loved ones. And when you see them crying, you aren't actually able to verbally express, because you are also traveling in the feelings or in the emotional part of them. So you just stand beside them, or you generally hold their hands, and you say, or you don't say anything, but you are able to feel that pain. That is empathy. I'm not sure if this would have made things very clear, but I'm sure the next story, not a story, I would say, it's a real incident which happened 100 years before. This would enlighten us and give us a deeper, a clearer image as to what is empathy and what is sympathy. The picture is there on the screen, so you would know. I don't think there could be a better example rather than the father of our nation, our dearest Mahatma Gandhi ji. So he was called Karamchand Gandhi. All of us know, we have studied in history, though most of us really don't enjoy learning history much. But his part of the history, I'm sure all of us would love to read and read. He was a very extremely famous, popular lawyer. He was educated in in UK, and then he was practicing for a long time in South Africa. And Karamchand Gandhi, the earlier history says, he was very, very conscious, very, very particular on the way he dresses himself, his attire, because the first impression we always believe is the best impression. So he always used to give a lot of importance to his clothing, to the style of dressing before he presents himself in public. That was his personality until age 45, where he returned back to India knowing that his own citizens, his own country people were under the slavery of the Britishers. He was not able to go ahead in South Africa and live a luxurious life. because he knew there was a calling. And that's how he came back. And he started, in fact, he started rendering 24 hours of his time into the betterment, into bettering the lives maybe of those days of our grandparents and ancestors. That was his life. Of course, it went on for 5 to 10 years. And this incident caught my eye very much because this incident happened in Madurai. We are all talking on behalf of Shivakasi Duchess, and Shivakasi is very close by. This happened in Madurai. Of course, he was with his followers and with all his secretary. He was visiting the people of Madurai, and he was traveling from one village to another. As he was traveling, of course, for a small portion, he had to walk to visit each of their houses. And his secretary, his personal assistant said, Gandhiji, there are 7 members in this family, and they would all love to meet you and take your blessings. They would like to share their poverty and what they are undergoing, their pain with you, and definitely they want to get your blessings. Father was very happy. He said, yes, I would love to meet every single countryman of mine. And then he stood in front of the entrance of the house because it was a very small hut. That's how this incident is marked in history. And the head of the family walked out of the door, and he, took Gandhiji's blessings, and he spoke to him, and whatever he wanted to share, there was a little dialogue with him, and then he went in. And then his wife came out, and Gandhiji spoke to her, and then the same procedure, the blessing happened, and then she went in, and then the elder son came out. And introduced himself. So Gandhiji was getting restless because, his secretary clearly told him there were 7 members. So he was telling, we are getting late, thoda jaldi karo. You all can come, all 7 can come. I would love to meet them as a family. And they were all hesitating, and, they were kind of very silent. And then Gandhiji asked, let me know, why can't they all come together? Is there any differences of opinion among themselves? And that is when he heard the news. His disciple or his secretary came very close to him and said, Gandhiji, I feel very sad to tell. They have only one piece of cloth to cover their upper body. That is the level of the poverty that they are in. So the first person came. It is a disrespect. They thought that they come without clothes to meet you. They cannot come out. So the first person came, he took your blessings, he went quickly past that piece of cloth to the second person, and then she came in. And this is the reason they are coming one after the other. Gandhiji was dumbstruck. He literally, the history recorded says, literally Gandhiji was turning red and his eyes were filling with water. And for a minute, he put his head down and looked at himself. Of course, after coming to India, he wasn't wearing suit length or anything more. He was in his proper Gujarati attire, which has at least 6 or 7 pieces of cloth to make it look full. That's the style of Gujarati dresses. So he felt really bad. And for a minute, he was stuck. He wouldn't talk anything. They could all see that his expression was changing. And that day, Gandhiji was literally traveling with them. The others were sympathetically sharing their poverty, but Gandhiji was empathetic, where he understood their feelings, and that is when he gave up his clothes. And he switched over to just a simple dhoti and a loin cloth to just cover himself, his upper body. And he said this. This was the first statue, which is still kept in Madurai. This happened on the 22nd September 1921, almost 100 years ago. I strongly feel, my friends, that this is the highest form of empathy. And he appeared for the first time in public, and he made it very clear to his followers and to his disciples. He said, I don't want y'all to sacrifice and wear on like this, but I am able to literally experience the pain, the agony of that poverty. And that is where his mission started in full swing. I'm sure this example would give us a better understanding, or I don't think there could be a better, example to let us know what empathy and sympathy is. Yes, my friends, if now you have a clear idea, now let's leave sympathy aside and let's move into empathy, knowing more. Being a psychologist, I definitely would like to give you every person who is on the gallery, who's monitoring and listening to me as to what is empathy as per psychology. Well, it's not for psychologists, it's not for psychotherapists. It is an insight for each and every individual who wants to have a better relationship or give a better relationship to the people around. Please stay with me. And I'm sure all your videos are on because, this is a topic which I really emotionally connect. So I really don't want to interfere and remind you every now and then, telling to switch on your videos and mute your audios. I'm sure you will do that with me, because if I keep reminding that in between, you will lose the feel and I will also lose the feel of this intense journey into empathy. Please stay tuned. Thank you so much. Empathy is defined as the ability to stay present with another person's feelings. I would request you to focus your attention only to those two words, a person's feelings. Because I strongly feel, and that is what the whole lot of psychologists feel, that every adult is capable enough, has the ability to solve their problems in life, to go on in their journey. So they don't need loads of advices. They don't generally need people to judge them. All they need is somebody to be present with their feelings. My friends, when I say feelings, let's all of us not focus only into the tragedy line. Let's not move only in the negative. Yes, there are a lot of happy occasions. People want us to be with them and feel that happiness. When somebody is sad at the loss, especially at this point of with this COVID pandemic, there are so many people losing their lives, losing their loved ones. They want us to journey with them and be present with their feelings. Any amount of verbal, expression will surpass just that feel of holding somebody and just telling them, yes, we understand. It makes so much of a difference. I give all tribute to Carl Rogers. He is a humanistic psychologist, I would call. He was the one who brought about this empathetic revolution. He spoke extensively about empathy and what it means to be present with a person. How many of us, I'm sure once in 6 months or once in a year, all of us go for a physical checkup. And if you are hypertensive, if you have BP, you tell your friends, I have hypertension and I'm on strong medicines. If you are diabetic, you tell your friends, oh, I am a sugar factory. I am the president of the association. And you visit a cardiologist, you so boldly tell them, I went and met the leading cardiologist, share all this information. But if we have a little trouble with our mind, if I don't want you, but if you happen to visit a psychiatrist or a psychologist, would you like to express it? We seldom share that, isn't it? He felt that. He took the initiative to even stop that feeling of anyone to know that they are a patient or there is any trouble with them. He literally reframed. He literally reframed the word patient and replaced it with a word called client. He's anybody coming to a doctor, anybody coming with some kind of a depressed feeling or a little low feeling about themselves. The first thing you should do is don't call them patient and make them feel a patient. Call them a client. That was Carl Rogers. And all credit goes to him towards bringing this. He focused on something that is called as person-centered therapy. Now, don't get me wrong. We are not taking a psychology class. You might be thinking, person-centered therapy, what? Wow, what word? What does it mean? It means nothing. It means just listen. Half the problems, or I would say around 99% of the people want to be listened to, want to be just heard, nothing else. When somebody says, for example, I feel angry, I feel upset, what we need to do is pause for a minute rather than arguing with them, telling, what is there to be angry about? This is such a small issue. Why do you get upset about this? That would make them feel more low. But just be with them and tell them, oh, really? You feel angry? You feel upset? And just be with them, just listening to them. This is what we mean by person-centered therapy. You don't have to be a therapist to do this. This is just listening, which all of us have to do without being biased. He gave this approach. This is just a small example. I'm not going into the very technical aspects of the thing. It is like the 3 conditions that needs for growth. Say for a tree, for an example, what are the conditions that a tree needs? It needs the basic water. It needs, of course, nutrients, which it has its own roots. The tree knows how to take the nutrients from the roots through the, from the sand and, prepare the food. And of course, the light, the sunlight. So everything is there. So the tree grows by itself, isn't it? Sometimes we feel if the tree is weak or the, bushes are weak, we add a little minerals here and there, isn't it? So similarly, he felt every adult knows to grow. All of us, move towards self-actualization by our own selves. We definitely do it by ourselves. He said there should be a lot of genuineness. He focused on these 3 keywords: genuineness, acceptance, and empathy. He says these 3 given in a complete dose, in an equal dosage, will let any adult individual to grow into self-actualization, meaning they will know how to handle their issues themselves. He said very clearly, a beautiful word. We need to really, I would request you to read with me if the screen is available to you. We think we listen. We think actually that we are listening, but we rarely do we listen with real understanding. Most often we listen before the person completes the sentence. We will be having a kind of, a system working inside us where we begin to judge, where we begin to say, what's this to be upset about? What is this to be angry about? This doesn't look big. So we think we listen, but we rarely do that because we don't understand from their point of view. He says if we can do that, that is true empathy. Because listening of this special kind is one of the most potent forces for change that anyone knows. Over the years, after a lot of research, over and over again, I think he was practicing for more than, 60 to 70 years. With all that research, he established the scientific fact that for a relationship to be healthy, for a relationship to be growing, empathy is the solution. How beautiful, isn't it? Okay, so now I guess we finished with the psychology class. This was just giving you a knowledge of what it is, fine? So now let's move into knowing since when is empathy being practiced? When did this concept start? I would really call your attention now because it's going to be storytelling. I introduced myself as a teacher. Teachers are always very good storytellers. And children listen. They enjoy listening to it. When I teach physics, I don't know how much they enjoy. But when I narrate a story, more so when it is a real story, a real incident which has happened, they really enjoy. And maybe for the next few minutes, I would look at you as children because, the teacher in me is really bubbling out. Because I spoke about Gandhi, we know now that 100 years before empathy came into existence, people practiced, but much, much before that. I narrowed down to the few of the religions, not that I'm for one or not for other. I strongly believe that truth is one. We take different channels to reach to the truth. With that note, let me take a beautiful example from Hinduism. I would like to enlighten about Swami Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. We know he was the person who established the Ramakrishna mission. And Swami Vivekananda was one of his favorite disciples. Some of you might be, following the Ramakrishna Math as well. This is in fact a very true incident. He was walking through villages with his disciples, because those days it was only, our 2 legs that helped us transport from one place to another. So as he was journeying, he saw a man being tied up and being beaten up with the belt left and right. And literally he was almost bleeding. And so he stopped by and he wanted to inquire. He asked his disciples, please check, why are they doing it? And his disciples went and found, and then they came and told him, Swamiji, he had not eaten for over 10 days, and he went into the marketplace and he robbed food, and they pulled it from him, and so this is a punishment that he is undergoing for robbing. Of course, with his disciples, when they told, they felt, a little sorry for that man, because one, he hadn't had food for 10 days. On top of that, he was being beaten up. They really felt bad. And they were looking at Paramahamsa. He was not talking anything. And then he was just looking at that man so intensely, and his facial expressions were changing. And what really astonished, what really surprised his disciples was that the belt marks which the man was beaten, which he had on his body, started reflecting on Swami Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. This is not a story, my friends. This is an incident. This was the greatest expression of empathy. He was literally feeling the pain of that person. This is what I mean when we say about empathy. Feeling, the person's feelings, journeying with them. Such a beautiful example. To add on, Rishi Vishwamitra, I'm sure these were saints who have lived and left a legacy for us to follow and to learn from. He was in fact to be crowned as, to a higher post. I am not sure about what the post is. It was given in a little a philosophical word. I was unable to grasp it. And as a customary, they had to drink. They will be offered Amrit. The eldest person in the family will offer them Amrit. And as a sign of respect, they will have to humble themselves and collect that and drink. The moment he drinks that, he will be adorned to that higher position. So such a big ceremony was to happen, and he was taking part in it. And at that point of time, they were, in that kingdom at the higher level where a stage was done, and he could see a lot of people, all his countrymen around waiting to see him. And it was, so hot. The day was very, very hot, and people were really sweating, and they were so thirsty. And literally the people there were crying out to each other, we are thirsty, get some water, get some water. And so as he took this Amrit in his hand started shivering. Because he was able to see his countrymen down there. They were thirsty for water. They were really quenching out of thirst. And that was the time they were offering him Amrit. He felt, he was able to feel that thirst of those people. And he was unable to take this Amrit and take over. So he gave it back. And he said, I'm very sorry for the disrespect. But, I can feel the thirst of my countrymen. When they are thirsty for water, I cannot do this. Please first give them water. That is empathy. How beautiful. He could feel the thirst. Not that he went down to their place, but standing here, he was able to. What more example, better example do we need? Beautiful words from the Hindu religious books. It tells us very, very clearly. He who sees all other beings the same as oneself, he is called a yogi. You need to look at everyone as that is empathy. In my view, that yogi is the best, who puts himself in the place of others at all times, and seeing his own identity with them, he is able to experience their pain and pleasure. I'm sure all of us at some point of time have read this, but somewhere I think we have forgotten to follow it. Maybe not all. How could I leave this beautiful religion? The story continues. Two more stories from this beautiful faith of Islam. Ikrimah, son of Abu Jalal, and his real name was Abu al-Kahim. Abu al-Kahim means father of wisdom. That is how Abu al-Kahim called himself. He was the person who worked against the Muslim faith. He was brutally killing the Muslims. Right from Medina to Makkah, he was killing the Muslims. Anybody, when they uttered the word of Muhammad, he would kill them. That was Abu Akam. And he called himself as the father of the wise. But the entire Muslim community called him as Abu Jalal, means father of ignorance, because he was working against their faith. That is how he lived. Of course, after a lot of nearly 30, 40 years of protesting and murdering countless number of Muslims just because they were following the faith, in one of the wars, Abu Jalal lost his life. We are now focusing on Ikrimah. Ikrimah was the son of Abu Jalal. Initially, he started work as his father, but then somewhere he understood that what his father was doing was not right. He was killing the Muslims, and he strongly believed in Allah. So he was walking by to Mecca to meet the Prophet Muhammad. At that time, everybody, all the people in Mecca were so furious. Abu Jalal's son is coming. No, we don't want him. We are going to boycott. We are going to boycott. There was so much of trouble and turmoil there. But Prophet Muhammad said, see, I am not bothered. I am not worried about what Abu Jalal was. But for Ikrimah, Abu Jalal is his father. And I know what a father means to a son. I am literally able to experience that, what it means. If you're going to boycott him, if you're going to call him Abu Jalal and, insult him, that would hurt Ikrimah to a large extent. And I don't want that to happen because I can understand the feelings of a son. So he made sure that they invited Ikrimah with all the honor, and not one person uttered the word of Abu Jalal or spoke against him. That was the greatness of Muhammad, Prophet Muhammad, sorry. He need not have done it. He is the son of a person who has killed countless of people. Why would he? But he did it. Let me move on. Of course, there's yet another story. Maybe if time permits, I would get back to it a little later because a lot of things to go on. Of course, words from the Quran emphasizing, none of you will have faith till he wishes for his brother what he likes for himself. How beautiful. Read it again, my friends. Putting yourself in other people's shoes is the single best way to be a compassionate person, a sympathetic friend, and a noble opponent. These are all words from our own religious books. And now, how would I leave Christianity? Beautiful stories from that. I'm sure both these stories you would have heard about. The Good Samaritan, I want to finish it with Jesus and Lazarus. So I take a reverse option, a reverse journey. The Good Samaritan. I'm sure all of us have studied about this in school time, in moral science. Just to recall, a man was being looted as he was journeying by robbers. He was beaten badly. He was robbed of all his things and left on the road to bleed. A priest walked by. He felt bad. Oh my God, you're bleeding. You've lost your money. Oh, but I have to go. I have a mass at 9 o'clock, and he walked by. But he did feel sorry for him. He only verbally felt. Next came a businessman. He said, I really would want to stop by and help you, but I have a meeting. If I miss that, I lose millions of money. So he too verbally felt bad and walked off. The third was a very lame person. What do we call him as? Okay, a tribal side of a person who was walking, who journeys from one village to the other and earns a little money and continues his journey. He didn't have much himself, but he stood there. He got down from his donkey. Maybe those days they were using donkey as a means of transport. And he saw this person. He didn't have much, but he could feel that pain, that physical pain that that man had undergone. And he was murmuring words that all his money is lost. So he was able to understand the loss. He took time, kind of handled him with whatever little clothes that he had and took him to a safe inn and allowed him to heal. There are other things we relate with this Good Samaritan, like who is your friend? But I see a beautiful example of empathy in this. He really felt the physical pain and the loss of that man. Now moving on to the God of gods. Jesus and this beautiful story of Lazarus. I'll quicken and I'll finish it. I'm sure you all are all good students listening to it. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I know you could, give a clap for yourselves. You're a lovely children. Okay. So Jesus and Lazarus, we know the story. I'm sure you would have read about it. Lazarus was considered dead for 3 days, and his entire family were mourning over him. Jesus had gone for a long journey, so it took 3 days for him to come back. And again, the transport, was an issue. So it took 3 days to come back. And as he came into the house, they were all weeping and they were all in deep, loss because they have lost their very own Lazarus. And he was a good disciple of Jesus as well. At that time, Jesus felt, he knew, of course, the story at the end is a beautiful end. But then at that point of time, when Jesus entered the house, he saw, Mary weeping. He saw his brothers, his family, all weeping at the loss. And literally, Jesus, though God of gods, King of kings, he was journeying with them. And the Bible verse says, when Jesus saw her weeping and the Jews who had come with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in his spirit and greatly troubled. Jesus wept. Mark the words, my friends. Jesus wept. The God of gods to weep. That is the greatest exhibit of what empathy is. Rejoice with those who rejoice and weep with those who weep. Lovely, isn't it? I'll leave you the 6 stories as a backbone for you. When you plan, when you think of practicing, when you think of inculcating this nature of empathy, this would really add on to it. Now, you might ask me, who can practice, who should practice, and when should we practice? We'll do a simple timeout activity because it's been a very serious, class of story listening. Okay, so I want you to just relax a little bit. You will know yourself if you are an empath, okay? If you can be an empathetic person with just this little activity. Okay, children get excited when it is activities. And so do you. I can already see a lot of smiles. Sorry, my gallery view is on the left on another system, okay? That's the reason I keep popping in to see your expressions. Okay, so it's not a text or this is in me, okay? So I would go on to talking for maybe I would finish the whole, 58 hours if I'm given permission. But then, there are a lot of people, then there will be a lot of conflict, as Rita was mentioning. Conflict resolution will become difficult. Okay. Are you an empath? You will know this by just small activity. If you can identify the 6 basic emotions, okay? These are the 6 basic emotions. There are a lot of emotion. We focus on the 6. Happy, sad, angry, fear, surprise, and disgust. Okay? So I'm going to show you, pop up some facial expressions. So get your chat boxes, your messaging to be ready. Okay? And as I pop up, I have numbered it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to just see how you are able to identify these 6 basic emotions. Okay? In case if you forget the name of the 6, I can just pull up a paper up and show you. Okay? The 6 emotions. I think it's easy. Happy, sad, angry, fear, surprise, disgust. So here we go. Be ready with your things to type. Okay, so you could put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, type all 6 together and send, or 1 on 2, however you want. Okay, I'll leave it to you children to decide that. Let me see the smartest of the lot. The first one and the second one. What expression are these? I chose baby pictures because they are very transparent. They are very genuine. We know, even if we are bored, we know we'll give a nice smile. Yeah, beautiful. But we are bored inside. We have the capacity to mask, but children don't. Okay. So the first and the second, what emotion it is. Okay. So here it's over here. So happy, sad, angry, fear, surprise, disgust. Shall I move on to the next frame? All are smiling. Looks like you'll have already done. Oh, okay. A lot of answers. Oh my God. Most of you are already qualifying to be empathetic person and psychologist. I don't believe. This is going to be tough, I think. the third, and the fourth. This is going to be tough. No, I'm not going to let you so easily, become an empathetic person and qualify yourself. I've spent more than 2 years to study psychology. No, that's not going to happen. Okay. Oh my God. I'm not mentioning names, but somebody called Lovely is giving a lovely performance here. I could see Surekha. Okay. Nirmala. Oh, a lot of people. Mystica. She's given the answer next for the next two also looks like, okay. I might repeat the same expression, so don't take me for a ride. Okay, 5 and 6. I'm sure the sixth one is a little easy. Okay, looks like there's some foul smell around that person. The expression says so. Okay, so shall we know the answers? The main 4 points I'm going to talk about empathy tells me not to be judgmental. Okay, so that gives you the result. So I'm not going to judge you. I'm going to display all the 6 results. You are going to mark for yourself. Okay, the first one, yes, though he has only 1 teeth, he's really happy. The second one, oh my God, I can't find my mummy. He's really sad. The third one, that's an angry man. And the fourth one, home alone, we all know, height of fear. So no dispute over that. And the little fellow, surprised, mommy is baking a cake. Wow, he's surprised. And the little fellow, disgust. So you may clap for yourself. I'm sure all of you have done well. Oh, I can see all clapping. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, this is just comes as an icebreaker. So you can know, you can award yourself that each and every one of us can be an empathetic person. Okay, so now shall we move on to a little more learning about the relationship skill? You might ask me, who should learn? It is a life skill, not just a life skill. It is the basic relationship, because relationships matters. And I'm sure all of you agree with me. Okay. And it goes like this. Who should learn? I bring all together. I'm not going one at a time. Children. So now I don't know whether to consider you as children or adult. Okay. So you fit into both. Fine. So children, adult, homemakers, professionals, business people, literally every human being. If I've left some particular category to mark, I know we all fall into either children or adult. Okay. No matter, sometimes 40, 45, you're still children. Okay. Sometimes 10, 12, you're an adult. Okay. So you can fix in your category wherever you want. Literally all of us should learn, my friends, because it is a life skill. It is a relationship skill rather. And we need people. We need relationships, isn't it? The 4 important qualities to be an empathetic. This will be a learning for you. Most of you will be at least 50, 60%. Some would be even 100, 200% already. You can add whatever little extra you need if you approve of these 4 qualities. First one is perspective taking. I wanted to draw that on a paper. I'm sure all of us have seen the diagram, a 6. Okay, so draw a 6. You stand on the side, on the round portion of the 6, and you see it looks like a 6, isn't it? But you run to the other side where that, tail is pointing. When you see from there, how does it look like? Does it look like a 6 again? Okay. Oh, Jasmine has already pointed out 9. Very good. Excellent. Okay. Yes, it does look like a 9. Okay. So perspective taking means, see, when I tell you journey with a person's feeling, it doesn't mean if somebody is fallen into a pit, you feel sad, you want to feel empathetic, not that you also run and fall into the pit. No. Okay. You stand from the outside. Of course, you will have to help. Please don't take selfies and let the person, okay? You have to help. But that person has fallen into that pit. So you are able to see the pain, the tension, the fear that he would be undergoing from his perspective. I know from my side, it is a 6. And it is very clear, no doubt. But you are able to see from his side. Okay, maybe from his side, it's looking like a 9. That is the reason. This is what means by perspective taking. You remain definitely wherever you are, but you are able to understand the person's view. It might be a small loss for you. Somebody is lost, you know, I know how women, we get so annoyed if one earring is lost, not one earring, even if that, you know, the back stud fixing, whatever it's called, tirgu, I don't know, I'm not able to get it in English, okay? If that you lose, how you get annoyed, you'll keep literally falling, searching everywhere. But your husband might come and tell, such a small one and you're searching so much, okay? You know how angry you get. I can see, you know, my cousin Priya really boiling up. She's already angry. Okay. So that is what. Okay. So for you, it's a small thing, but for that person, it is a big thing. That is what I mean by telling perspective taking. We need to sometimes inculcate this quality. The most important of all, don't be judgmental. They are not living their lives, isn't it? I've already shared this quite often. Anytime I get a chance, I talk about this and I can talk hours. Let's stop being judgmental. What sounds small for you is not sound for that person. What sounds you like to be judged? No, I definitely wouldn't like to be judged at all, isn't it? So let's stop being judgmental. Sometimes that is a barrier. Some of my friends who have listened to me earlier would know it is a barrier. People will think if I tell this is the problem, they will laugh. They will, you know, judge me. That is what stops most of us from opening up. So let's stop being judgmental. Recognizing the emotion. We need to recognize the emotion. Now you all are all qualified. 6 basic emotions like this you all were able to find out. So understand the emotion that is attached, not just the, you know, the verbal expression. Take a little pause. All of us are capable. Because at some point of time, we also come across a lot of ups and downs. It's always not up, it's always not down. It has to be a beautiful curve, isn't it? That looks nice. Like the roads of the place leading to my place. I'm from Ooty, near to Ooty. So there should always be a little curve up and down. And then communicating. This is the important of all. Communicating with a lot of understanding. You need to talk. Of course, somebody is in pain. Somebody is, you know, confused. Somebody is in fear. Somebody is angry. We need to talk. Not that you sit with them. Oh, Raji told us to only express the feelings. So we will just tap them, talk nothing and come back quiet. Not that. Communicate with a lot of understanding. Once you take the perspective taking and you stop judging and you recognize the emotion, 100% whatever words we utter will be beautiful words. The communication will be apt if you finish the first 3 steps. See, just simple, children. Simple, my friends. The 4 important qualities to being empathetic. I could forward the PPT a little later. I see some of you noting down, okay? The more people get awareness, the more better. Because we all need to. I need somebody to be empathetic to me, definitely, anytime and all the time. So I give and then take. Now, to whom can we help? There's a whole lot of people that we can help. I might take a few minutes now. Yeah. Our loved ones at home. That is where it begins first. Our loved ones at home. You might be sometimes angry with your husband. You might be sometimes angry with your wife. You might be sometimes really angry with your father-in-law. No, not father-in-law much, I guess. Your mother-in-law or any relationship for that matter. Okay. But be empathetic to your loved ones at home because you spend most of your life with them, isn't it? At least 12 hours, 13 hours, and this COVID time, 24 hours, you know, you're spending with your family. So better be empathetic so that you also get that in return. Okay. This is only the humorous part of it. Okay. But then, yes, depressive people. This is the most difficult task to identify. You don't get to know, you don't get to see in this present generation who is depressive, who is not, because all are with smiles. You need to really read through that smile to understand if they have some anxiety issues, if they are depressive. Then the lonely people. When I say lonely people, it doesn't really mean just the people who live alone. No, sometimes the people who live alone are happy, the bachelors or the spinsters. When I say lonely people, there could be 10 people in the family, there could be 12 people in the family, 5 people in the family, yet there could be a person who feels lonely. Speak to them. Be empathetic to them. They need us. They need more of empathetic, closeness. Our own family, the young, the old, we quite often feel children, they will play, they will finish up. No, they also need to be empathetic, to be listened to. Suppose they ask you for a pizza. You have to take a perspective take from their side. Why are they asking pizza? I don't like cheese. I don't like these maida stuff, but they like. So children also, young and old, either way, we need to be empathetic. And then suicidal tendency. There are a lot of people, the study says, the research says that depressed people, depression is the #1 cause for suicidal. I think if we are able to follow these 4 simple tips and turn to be more empathetic and receive people with empathy, I think we will be able to bring down this percentage by a lot. Definitely, it is possible because you and I make this world, isn't it? The sick people. Definitely, the sick people are the one, especially the terminally sick people are the one who need to be listened to. They want just somebody to be beside them to just listen. You don't have to go and tell them, oh, you're going to be healed. You're going to walk up and briskly and walk like a 10-year-old, 12-year-old. They know it's impossible. They know the fact. It's not that. But listening to them, it makes a mountain of difference. Think about it. And this time, when we are all really stuck because of this COVID-19 pandemic, I think we need to literally 24/7 express the sign, the character, the nature of empathy. Because businesses are down. Many of the people, the bank balances are nil. People are struggling without food, without shelter. On top of that, they are losing their loved ones. We need to be a lot more empathetic, definitely. As I told in the very beginning, empathy is the medicine the world is in need of. Please note it down somewhere, or the best place to note it down will be in your heart. Empathy is the best medicine the world is in need of, my friends. I know I'm getting a little philosophical, it's a little too emotional, but that is the need. I can't help it. My topic is such. Every adult human being has the capability of definitely fixing their own lives. All they need is someone to just listen and make them feel cared for. Because how it happens is we have some trouble, we have some issue going on in the mind. It is within our own mind, okay? Like I know some dust get into my eyes, okay? Or somebody say, I know that there is some kind of a mark here. See, I need a mirror to look into, isn't it? What you and I have to do is just be a mirror. So that when they come, they know, oh, the dust is here inside. They'll take out the dust themselves. There is a mark over here. Maybe when I draw my liner, I marked here. I just need a mirror to see, but I can rub it myself. Of course, if you're willing, you can rub. That's a different issue. Most often it is as simple as this. They just want somebody to take it out from their mind. Once it comes out of their mind and it is displayed in front, they know, they are able to see a clearer view and they know the solution. Then they can put it in and then they can streamline and go on. So quite often, my mentor, my professor taught me, if you don't think, Raji, counseling means, you are the top of the world, you keep giving advices, do that, do this, do that. No, you are no one to give advice. He said, the first thing you have to stop as a counselor is stop giving advices. He said, they are more cleverer than you. They come with a problem. You are only sitting there as a mirror. By talking to you, or the way empathetically you talk to them, they know the solution. They can give better solutions, or rather, they only can give better solutions for their own lives. How beautiful, isn't it? In fact, very simple. I'm sure by the end of another 5-10 minutes, you will have the satisfaction that, yes, though I came in because I have to be a spectator, though I came in to encourage my friend, though I just wanted to be there for 1 hour for Raji, yet she has made this a real learning session. If at least 5 of you are able to tell that and feel that, you don't have to tell, please, feel that, I'm really, really happy. I'm truly happy then. Some beautiful words from our leaders, some of our leaders, not all leaders. I couldn't because, you know, the time slot is 1 hour. And beautiful words of some who have been practicing and, you know, employing, living a life of being empathetic themselves, or somebody has been empathetic to them. Empathy is seeing with the eyes of another, listening with the ears of another, and feeling with the heart of another. Alfred Adler. He was an individual psychologist who really focuses on, when I say individual, you as a person are important. You as an individual, you are a complete person. He was a psychologist who spoke about that. And this is what he shares about empathy. Physics, I'm a physics teacher. So how would I leave Albert Einstein? He said, empathy is patiently and sincerely seeing the world through the other person's eyes. It is not learned in school. It is cultivated over a lifetime. Of course, teachers, I wouldn't fully agree with that. Teachers live an example. They play a role model sometimes to teach children. It cannot be taught as a subject in class, but teachers live as a role model most often. Oprah Winfrey, we know, most of us know her life, how she has struggled and come out the hard way. So she knows how it is to get somebody to show a little empathy on ourselves. And she literally lives it every single day of our life. You could read her, you know, autobiography sometime. You will really enjoy. The struggle of my life created empathy. I could relate to pain, being abandoned, having people not love me. And hence she learned it, what it is to inculcate that. One of the great personalities I like. Of course, look-wise also, I really like him. Learning to stand in somebody else's shoes, to see through their eyes, that's how peace begins. We really need a lot of peace, isn't it? In the world at large. And it's up to you to make that happen. Empathy is a quality of character that can change the world. Not change your family, not change your society, but change the world at large, my friends. These are all like energy boosters, like drinking a glass of boost to energize us. Now, simple tips, very, very simple tips to journey with them. We can replace judgmental sentences with comforting words. Few, anything. Of course, you could add on whatever comes into my mind, or rather what I would want somebody to tell me is what is going to be reflected here. Sometimes it's okay not to be okay. You can't be smiling all the time. You can't be happy all the time. Too much of happiness also is not right. You can't be laughing all the time. People would look at you differently. So it's fine. You are feeling low sometime. You are feeling lonely sometime. You are feeling angry sometime. It's fine. Only tell them that it will pass. Sometimes, you know, I don't know how many of you have the experience. I don't have. I just heard somebody tell, you know, getting the kidney stone out of your, you know, the bladder or wherever it is formed is a painful process. But you need to undergo that because the stone passes away. So just tell them that this too will pass. They might be in a bad situation. They might be at the loss of, you know, their loved ones, but tell them it is okay. Tell them that it will pass and they can do it. Affirm them with positive sentences. Affirm them with positive affirmations. Tell them you are really strong. You are brave. You are amazing. See, that would kind of give them the strength, the stamina to rise up. Be with them. Once you feel whatever they are undergoing, you should affirm them. Affirm means give positive, words of affirmation. Give them, you know, that is the strength, the positivity that you inculcate. You could definitely do. See, you might not be, they have lost a loved one. You cannot actually replace, isn't it? That's not possible. They might have a broken marriage. Of course, you can't replace, you can't help them, but you can get them through that phase. That is what I mean, my friends. Tell them that you are with them. Most often people feel lonely. That is the beginning of every negativity. Simple words, isn't it? It's okay not to be okay all the time. This too shall pass. You are amazing. You are brave. You are strong. And I am with you. Lovely, my friends. Now you will ask me, or now you could decide, is empathy a nature, or is it learned? We might be 20, we might be 30, we might be 40, we might be 50. We would have lived a different life all these days. But it's fine. I would want you to read what is there on the left. To me, it's left. I don't know whether it's right or left to you. Okay. If you have journeyed with me through this hour, hearing me, or rather listening to me and understanding what I've been trying to deliver, I'm only trying. Okay. I'm not sure. You are already an empathetic person. How beautiful. I really feel like putting my collar up. Even if you're wearing salwar, you could still put up your collars. Okay. Simple. If you have journeyed with me, my friends, through this hour, listening to me, listening to all the stories, all the captions that I gave, all the real life incidents, right from our Gandhiji, all that I brought in, if you are kind of able to, replay it, and if you've been with this journey, at least of this, it's around, 1 hour, it's going to be, at least if you have listened to 30, 40 minutes of my talk, good enough. You are already an empathetic person because you've been understanding my feelings and listening to me all this time. That makes you an empathetic person, isn't it? It is possible by every one of us, literally every one of us. Be happy about it. Together, we can make this world a better place. It is possible, my friends. Each one cannot think, what am I going to contribute? No. The Rogerian approach. I'm a real fan of Carl Rogers. When time permits, please read about him. Read about his messages. Read about his work. The Rogerian approach says, just listen. That is all people need. They want somebody to be listened to, somebody to open up and talk, where they will know, they will understand from their perspective, where they will not be judgmental, where they will be able to understand the emotion to a larger extent. And if they are communicating, it would be something that they would understand. Since I have some more time, I wanted to just share a very small incident. I, in fact, wanted to talk about it much earlier. This is about when I really knew the importance of what is this Rogerian approach. What is it to be empathetic? I understood it very clearly. I would call this person as Mrs. Lesson. I don't want to pull out the name. Okay, so Mrs. Lesson, because she taught me a beautiful lesson. She's one of my good friends, a very good looking girl. She had a love marriage. I think they are settled and they run a lot of factories. They are doing very well. She has a 5-year-old daughter, enough and loads of money and material things. With all that, she came to me one day and she told, Raji, I'm not happy with this life. I am planning to just move away. I was really wanting to speak to her, but then as she was telling all this, I cannot compromise on the fact that though ours was a love marriage, my husband doesn't love me anymore. He's cheating on me and I'm not wanting to continue with this life. To be very frank, as you might also be thinking, I thought for a minute, she has lived her life. She has all the money, all the riches. Why is she bothered about it? Before I could open my mouth, she said, Raji, I know that I have all this, yet I'm not happy. Don't judge me. She just told that. That brought in a lot of change in me. Okay, as I move towards the end, I really wish all of us join hands and march towards an empathetic revolution, my friends. Continue this journey and enjoy. I'm sure you have learned a beautiful, somewhere little changes can happen. Please don't let it go with this 1 hour. Carry it home and share it with your friends and family. Thank you so much.